Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you a Claude-powered Gmail agent that I built that can read your emails and send them on your behalf, but with actual security controls in place, not just a broad access handed over to an AI. The core of how this works is in Descope's Agentic Identity Hub. Descope is handling everything here, including authenticating the user, managing the OAuth tokens for Gmail, making sure the agent only gets permissions it actually needs at the right time, and requiring human approval before any email goes out. I'm also using the Model Context Protocol, MCP, which is a standard way for AI agents to connect to external tools and services. The Gmail tools are running on a remote MCP server deployed on Vercel, and Descope sits in the middle managing all the auth between the agent and Gmail. Let me show you how all of this works. So I'm going to first run the agent from my terminal, and the first thing that happens is that it opens a browser for me to authenticate with Descope. When I sign in with Google here, this is the OAuth consent screen. I'm granting the agent permission to use the Gmail tools, but notice that it's not asking for any Gmail access yet, just authorizing the agent itself. Now that I'm authenticated, I can go back to my terminal and see that I have connected to the remote MCP server that's running on Vercel. Let me ask it to read my emails first. So the first time I do this, Gmail doesn't have the read permission yet. So it opens a browser and automatically asks me to grant it. And once I click Allow, it will give me the permission granted screen, and now it will start reading my inbox. So these are the last 5 emails that are in my current inbox, and it fetched them correctly. But notice if I ask it to read my emails again, it will not ask me for permission because I've already granted it the scope when it requested permission for the first time. There we go. So now let's try sending an email. What I can do is send an email to myself saying hi. The same thing should happen where it needs permission, so it opens the browser again for that specific scope. So I'll give it the correct access that it needs, click Allow, and when I go back to the terminal, even though I've granted the send permission, it doesn't just send the email. It sends me an enchanted link to my inbox first. And so now I'll have to go into my Gmail inbox, and I'll see that I've gotten this enchanted link email from my agent. And notice how it says that the link ID is 75, so I know that I need to click this one in order for it to be approved. So I click this link. Descope verifies that it's me, and only then does the email get actually sent. This is the human in the loop layer. OAuth grants the capability, but you still have to explicitly approve each email before it sends, since this is a type of action that would need an additional layer of security. So even if the agent misinterprets something or generates the wrong content, nothing can go out without you seeing it first. So the agent has confirmed that it sent the email to myself, and I can go confirm it also in my inbox, where I should have gotten an email saying hi. Now let me quickly show you how this is set up on the Descope side, because that's really where all of this is coming from. So now I'm in the Descope console, and I'm in the Claude Gmail agent project that I created. In the Agentic Identity Hub, you can see that there are multiple tabs. The first thing I set up was a Gmail connection, so I went into Connections, created a new one, and this is how Descope manages the OAuth tokens for Gmail on behalf of my users. It stores them, refreshes them automatically, and makes them available to the MCP server when it needs them. I don't have to touch any of this myself, except just defining the scopes that I want my agent to have access to. You can see that it's configured with Gmail read-only and send scopes. Descope is essentially acting as the token vault here, so I can see all those tokens that I've stored as well. When I initially authenticated, you would remember that I gave the agent read-only access. But then when I asked it to read my emails, it now has read and send access. The next thing I did was set up an MCP server. So we go into the MCP servers tab, and you can create a new one from here. I named mine Gmail Agent MCP server. And this is what the agent authenticates against when it first connects. You can see that it also has 2 scopes configured, Google Read and Google Send, and these map to the underlying Gmail OAuth scopes in the connections that we just saw. So when the agent requests Google Read, Descope knows to fetch a Gmail token with read-only access. Additionally, the consent flow is set to inbound apps user consent, which is what generates that OAuth screen you saw at the start when the agent first launches. There's also a Policies tab. This is what controls which users and agents are actually allowed to connect to Gmail, so you have fine-grained control over access at every level. I did not set up any policies for this project, but you can see how easy it would be to set up based off of a condition that you can customize. So that's really the whole Descope setup: a connection to manage the Gmail tokens, an MCP server to handle agent authentication and scopes, and the consent flow tying it all together. So the actual MCP server itself is deployed remotely on Vercel. I used Descope's Next.js MCP template as a starting point for this, and it comes pre-configured with the OAuth discovery endpoints and the MCP handler library. So I just had to build the Gmail tools on top of it rather than setting up all the infrastructure from scratch. The link to that template is in the blog if you want to use it yourself, and everything else in the code just calls into what we set up here. If you want to build something similar, I've linked the full blog post and source code below, which goes into a lot more detail on how this was set up. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.